and welcome to this episode of One Take CEO Interviews, which is brought to you by the executive consulting firm Platinum Group. Today, I'm very pleased to be talking with Christine Lantinen, owner and CEO of Maud Borup, a candy and gourmet foods maker with nearly $40 million in annual sales, which is up almost 50% from a year ago. And it has more than 200 employees, which is double from a year ago. And most of these employees are at its main manufacturing facility, processing facility in Lantinen, Minnesota. Maud Borup sells to specialty and mass retailers such as Walmart, Target, and Aldi, and has licensing agreements to make food items for large global brands such as Hell's Kitchen. The company develops more than 150 products each year, and each item can be customized to fit what each client would like. Last year, the company also cornered the U.S. market for hot cocoa bombs, which we'll talk more about in a few minutes. Christine, welcome to One Take.
Hi, Dale. Thanks for having us.
Yes, and I should say this is take two of One Take. Not that we've done it 2 times, but that this is our 1-year anniversary. You were with One Take a year ago at this time. The world was very scary at that point in time because of the pandemic, all the shutdowns. We didn't know what was going to go on with the economy. So thank you for the interview from a year ago. And I invite everybody tuning in today to go back to a year ago and see what you had to say back then. But, you know, when it comes to that, how have things gone, you know, compared with where you were at a year ago at this time? How did things go? And how did you end up as we've kind of come back out of the pandemic?
Sure. It feels like that interview was way more than a year ago. It's been a long, crazy year.
Yeah.
I would say challenging is a good way to kind of sum it all up. You know, I think everyone was obviously affected by COVID, and it hit everyone in different ways and at different times. And we still are seeing so many after effects of it, especially when it comes to demand, when it comes to food. We have numerous supplier issues still in just getting raw materials, shipping from overseas. And then just, I'm sorry, I said demand, and then the inability to get materials. So
yeah,
I'd say
has that squeezed your margins then? I mean, we talked about how much sales have grown, but of course, sales growing is one thing, but how have your margins been?
Yes. Margins. Yes, we've probably mostly felt the hit on margins with retaining employees.
Mm-hmm.
We've had to do significant pay increases to not only get employees in, but to retain them. You know, now they have the ability to go across the street and maybe make $4 more. So how do you compete in the marketplace? So we had to do some significant increases just to retain people. So you know that's going to take a significant hit to your bottom line. And the hope is that you're going to make that up in the future, which inflation is going to hit all of us hard here in the next 6 months to a year. Yeah.
And your second shift, did you increase by $5 an hour for the second shift?
Yeah, so it was between $4.25 and $4.75 that we increased per hour. Between the 2 shifts, and that's been since December. So we've kind of continued to try and do bumps, not only throughout COVID, but then, you know, now is when you've really seen the need to just make a significant jump, or you're not going to have people.
Right. And you mentioned they can just go across the street, and it kind of gets, once people start raising the wages, then the competition raises the wages, and it keeps going. What are you doing in other areas to try to attract talent and then keep talent?
Oh, yes. I mean, we're looking at a number of things internally, like bonus program, or additional or different bonus programs. This year we started 401k and also doing a higher match. So we're doing a 4% match now on 401k. So really tried to shop our benefits hard and get better benefit packages, and have that be another great reason to stay. Yeah, those are probably the biggest changes, and just, you know, flexibility with having 2 shifts. It allows us to have a bunch of students on second shift, which is great. And we've always really tried to work around the time they would be getting out of school based on when our second shift would start. So that's really, really great too.
I talked with the manufacturer probably 5 years ago, and he has a operation in Shakopee and was having a hard time finding folks. So he was able to corner off a portion of his production process to be almost, it was piecemeal or piece rate. So he could actually just have people come in and do piece rate. And if they could work 5 hours one day, 2 hours the next day, they'd get paid whatever they could do. And he was able to work that in. Is that anything that you are able to do?
That has proven challenging when people aren't working a full 8-hour shift. Just because you know, if you have someone leaving 2 hours early, you end up with a hole in your line. And that it's really hard for the rest of the team to try and fill. You know, there's flexibility with the salaried staff. Obviously, if you have things at home and you need to work from home day, you know, there's flexibility there. But it's the challenge in production is you need the physical bodies there to actually put the product together. So
and he had a production line that he couldn't do that with, but then he had another part of the business where he could, and that's where he wanted to. And what about like anything with daycare or anything else that would be able to be provided in the center?
Yeah, I mean, we actually have started conversations. Like, I don't know if I should say it yet, but we want to look at putting a daycare facility actually on our lot in the center and offering a program there. So we've started some initial conversations with that, and we'd love to complete it this year and have that be an additional benefit. At 100 employees, that was a little bit harder to do, but at 200, we think it's much more feasible. And as we keep growing, just a great way to, you know, have your kids close to where you're at. If they have a runny nose in the morning, you can run over at lunch and check on them. You know, we all got really excited about that. We also pursued B Corp certification this last year. So that really got team members excited, because I think most people are passionate about recycling and, you know, how do you continue to make your company better overall? And it really sets up benchmarks for you to look at in your company, whether that be energy use or benefits packages you offer your employees, or, you know, are your executives getting really big packages and your salaried workers aren't? You know, there's things measuring all of that criteria, which has just led to really amazing internal conversations of, you know, how do we keep being better? And, you know, as far as some major changes we're making from that this year is we're trying to go to 100% recycled packaging. So inserts and boxes this next year. That's a big initiative for us. So just some great things that have come out of that this past year that we can keep improving.
And B Corp is basically kind of the old social responsibility or sustainability focus on an organization, correct?
Yes, it's balancing essentially. The philosophy behind it is people with profits. So, you know, not just looking at the bottom line, but looking at, I think it's people, planet, and profits. So, you know, how are you treating all three and weighing the importance of all three?
Yep. A year ago, I remember we talked to that you'd kind of decided at that time people needed to still come to work. You know, that but you made it very safe for them to come to work. How did that go? And you hear all over the place nowadays, people are saying, oh no, we're going to have people come back 2 days of the week, and then the other 3 days they don't have to. Obviously, with a manufacturing operation, you can't do that. But with your headquarters, how did it go, and what are you doing on that front?
Yes, so I would say we just continued to work throughout the pandemic, and we quickly made a decision that, you know, we were going to come in, and even the salary, you know, it didn't feel fair to me to, you know, have the hourly workers be there, but the salary team gets to work from home. So obviously there were some exceptions to that, but I felt like in general, it really kept us much stronger as a team and, you know, focused on what we needed to get done because demand was growing and continuing to grow. You know, we had to adapt and change a year ago. That was a lot of our conversation then, just social distancing. And, you know, every week you were getting different information and trying to decide what direction you wanted to go as a company. So, you know, I thought, did a great job of just communicating as a team and making those decisions. We are still wearing masks in the center. But we were critical food workers. So we were one of the first groups to get approved for our shots. And I think we're at about, between the two shifts, probably about 75% vaccinated. And we just continue to try and push for that, to try and get as many people vaccinated as possible. The challenge with that is we're calling back more and more workers as we scale up. So when you're getting new people in, they're kind of starting the process, you know, of series 1 and series 2 shots, getting them done. So, but that definitely is a big push that we really hope everyone would get vaccinated just for the safety of each other. And, you know, it's family to me, so I want to protect everyone, you know, and I feel like that's the best way we can do that for each other.
Right. And, you know, for people watching, this is a family business. When you bought it and kind of changed it into what Maud Borup is today, it was with Randy, your husband, also your dad and mom, right?
Yes, definitely.
And are your parents still working there today? I know Randy is.
Yes. So my mom has played a critical role in the business. She actually was starting to think about retirement, and I called her one day and I'm like, you have to retire because I need you to come on board full time at Maud Borup. And she's like, okay, what are you getting me into? She had this amazing background in not only HR, but also quality. So she came from a medical device company. So I had been through really stringent audits and, you know, knew a lot about business. And so I'm like, I need you. There was a really big initiative for all food facilities to become GFSI audited in a short window. It was a really big initiative. And we had a number of facilities that didn't know what to do. So we really needed to teach them about this audit. So she came on board and went through the auditor training for the Global Food Safety Initiative standard so that we could teach our factories basically what an auditor would come in and do.
And those were your suppliers, correct?
Yes. So she worked and then we were doing more contract manufacturing then. So It was really important that we maintain those partnerships and got them up to speed with what needed to be done. So she would work with their quality person on helping to write the manual, and we kind of got a template for what it needed to look like and then took it from facility to facility to help them get ready for this new audit standard. And that was really a critical turning point for our company because there were companies that didn't want to deal with it. It seemed like too big of an undertaking and kind of stepped away from the challenge, and we kind of faced it head on and you know, positioned us in a good way.
That's cool. Yeah, it's my dad used to work for the phone company, and when I had a new office and I needed all new phone lines, he came in and put all the phone lines in for me. So yeah, it's not quite as robust as what your mom did, but it's so nice to have talent within your family.
Oh my gosh. Well, and going on, like she's the one that when we found our facility, she generaled, you know, the whole build out of it. And I, right before I talked to you, you know, she's following up on a factory audit that we need to address some issues that were there. So, I mean, she's amazing. And I'm fortunate that she's been able to work with me. And my dad too was, I know I told you when we bought our facility, I didn't realize his farmland butted up to the back of our facility. So there's plenty of funny stories with my dad. When we first bought our building, they had used it to build recycled countertops. So there was a mound of money in the corner, like a huge, giant mound of ground up cash in the corner of the building. So my dad took it and gave it to a bunch of local farmers to use as bedding for their cows. So we always laugh that all the cows in the center were sleeping on millions and millions of dollars of shredded money. But wait,
Yeah.
great.
Well, your kids are 11, 12?
11 and 12. Yep.
Yeah. So only a few more years before you can get them in. So we'll have to do a take 6 or something.
Yeah.
Around age 17. But coming back to last year, another thing that was going on last year was you were doing a major expansion. And that was interesting because a year ago at this time, as I mentioned before, as everybody knows, there was so much uncertainty and you were going 100% with that expansion. How did that go and where are you at with capacity?
Yes. So we put on almost 70,000 square feet, and the build out was critical to bringing in a couple of manufacturing lines. So, as we're just kind of starting construction and COVID hits, obviously you're worried about all of it getting done. And fortunately, our construction team were also deemed critical workers. So, we're just so proud of everybody just continuing to dive in and knowing the importance of getting this build out done. Then following that, we got our equipment in, which proved to be much more challenging because there were 2 lines that came from overseas where they were supposed to send a technician to set it up for a month. And we were informed, we'll ship you your equipment, but the technician isn't coming. So we ended up hiring 2 interns from Minnesota State Mankato that literally we just gave them any instructions or videos that we had, and they were like in a room trying to put these lines together, doing video chats when they could. But it was amazing. They got the lines put up, but obviously it took longer than we anticipated and was very challenging to get done. Because at the time we were in peak production too. Yeah. So it's like the last thing you have time to be thinking about.
Well, hopefully they got college credit for that.
They did. One of them has come on full time since.
Oh, cool.
The other one's still in school.
Good.
But
Good.
Yeah, 2 women engineers. They're amazing ladies. So.
Well, that segues. I want to come back to capacity. But the 2 women engineers actually comes to another question I wanted to ask you about. And another thing that happened, I think, since we last talked was a much bigger focus on diversity and inclusion in the workplace. How does Maud Borup deal with those issues?
Your job is never done. And, it's constantly changing, and you're not always knowing what could be maybe taken as insulting or, we're constantly learning, and B Corp certification has helped us a lot with that. Just making sure that flyers we're putting out just are clear that we're an equal opportunity employer. We still love women. We're still about 80% women overall in manufacturing, which is amazing. And we love, just always trying to have that be front of mind when we're making, whether it be hiring decisions or promotions and things like that. So.
My light just went out. So
I saw that. It got really dark there.
This is still one take. So, it is what it is, viewers, right? So we're not editing. So I'll just keep talking in the dark. But so that's.
I thought the party was over. Maybe you were trying to say something.
Yeah, it's
wrapping it up. Last call.
Yep. So now I mentioned these cocoa bombs. I still haven't had one. I gotta get one. Tell us a little bit about this, because when we were talking about capacity, it sounds like you need more capacity now because of how well that product line went. So tell us, what is this? How have you cornered the market, and what are you looking to do now to do more with those?
Yes, so it's a product we launched 2 years ago. And, we try a lot of different things in candy. We often play in the seasonal gifting space. So it allows us to trial and error, different products, and do kind of crazy stuff that other people maybe wouldn't try to do. So we first launched it 2 years ago. It did okay, kind of year one, but we didn't have as many items in the market. And then we started going after different shapes like hearts and snowmen and different sizes and different drizzles and inclusions inside. And it's really grown this past year. So to the point we had to say no to business because we filled up our line time this year.
And what are they? Just what are
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a sphere that it has mini marshmallows inside. Sometimes it has cocoa or like candy sprinkles. So you put it in hot milk and it makes a gourmet cup of hot cocoa. And you can do fun things. You can color it and it'll color your cocoa. We flavor them. So for Halloween, we have like a pumpkin spice flavor. For Valentine's Day, we have strawberries and cream in a heart shape. And it's just really kind of elevating cocoa. So you're starting to see it evolve even into the everyday aisle. So we really want to remain kind of a strong and key supplier in the US of this product. There's not a lot of people in the US that are making it currently. So we just made a trip to Italy actually last week to look at some equipment and to help try to make decisions on how automated we want to go as a next step, and trying to figure out, are shapes more important to us, or is it more about, foil wrapping it or doing it in custom boxes. So, the lines we've been looking at are pretty automated with robotics. So, we're trying to figure out kind of our place in the market where we really want to stand out with this product, because we want to build a line that's versatile, but yet with robotics you're going to be somewhat specialized in what you do. Yeah. So,
and I forget, do you have a patent pending or anything?
Yeah, so we have a trademark filed on hot cocoa bombs, and yes, we hasn't been issued yet, but we were first in market with the product. So
okay, for everybody just fascinated by this, and I have to try one. Where can I find them?
Oh my gosh, they're not a lot in store right now because it's summer time frame. So it's really big fourth quarter. And you're going to find them, Target and Walmart would be the two biggest retailers that would have them out this year.
Well, so I'll be looking. That sounds
okay. Good.
Yeah. Interesting. And so you're going to have to, will you have to expand your capacity again then if you bring in that production line?
Yes. So, yeah, you had asked about our capacity. So with the growth, we are finding ourselves really maxed out of space again already this year with our growth. So this last year we bought 6 acres next door to our facility, and we're starting to talk about plans to build out again. So I think with the next build out that we do, we're going to try to max out our lot best that we can, because we didn't build big enough this last year. So, and the line we're looking at needed almost a 20,000 square foot footprint. So we were talking about how big of a space it would need to do 2 of these lines. And we were figuring 20,000 square feet just to put 2 of these lines in a room. So it's large equipment if we go this route. So yes, more exciting things to come, more growth.
Yeah. Well, and you're hoping to have 250 people working there through the holidays, and you're also shooting for $100 million a year in sales within 3 years.
Correct.
So when I think about those two, and we've talked a little bit already about the challenge of hiring and retaining, but everything else that we're talking about, what's your biggest challenge as you look at the next 12 months to 24 months?
Scaling constantly, we focused a lot of time on building our team in La Center because 5 years ago we weren't even there yet. So we pretty much in 1 year went from 0 to almost 100 people in that location, and a lot of growing pains that you go through with that kind of growth. And turnover, trying to find the right people, you know, the first couple of years, and who's our core salaried staff that's going to be down there. And now they're just cruising, which is amazing. And we, you know, continue to push of like, okay, if we keep growing, is it here in La Center, or is it another facility that we're purchasing or building somewhere else? And then about a year and a half ago, we opened our office in Plymouth with a main goal of really hiring the front end staff and getting more people on board with product development and test kitchen. So we have about 15 people there now. And in the short term, we'll be up to 20 plus. But a lot of new people in that office in a year and a half time. So we're really trying to find the right people and people that thrive in a pretty chaotic environment of growth, because it is not easy. And you got to kind of geek out over being really challenged every day, or it is not the place for you. So
I love that. You have to geek out at being challenged every day.
Yes.
Yep.
Because it, you know, and some people, it makes them really uncomfortable, because it's like, there's and you're trying to figure out how to divide yourself, and you have to have the ability to see that now your role has turned into 2 roles. And so,
yeah, and that might change tomorrow.
And, you know, I can't see that anymore. You know, as we grow, I'm not able to see that or know that. So you have to have people that are communicating and letting you know that things are changing. And also on top of it, you've got a seasonal business cycle. So everybody's role kind of has peaks and valleys at different times. And so you may not know when someone is really overwhelmed or maybe has some extra time. So we find we're just kind of all trying to jump in and really cross-functionally work, because it is a new team. So there's a lot of training going on still too, and handoffs. So definitely have to have the right team. And I'd say, so scaling, definitely a challenge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And do you have a HR director, or do you use talent service?
We do. So we have 2 HR, one in La Center and one in the cities.
Okay. Well, that helps.
Employees. Yes.
Yeah.
And they're busy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very busy.
Actually, we have 3. I take that back. 2 in La Center now and 1 in the cities.
Wow.
Sorry, Samantha, if you're watching.
We're pushing the time here. So is there anything I should have asked you that we haven't gotten to yet?
I can't think of anything other than when we're going to go out on your boat.
I know.
You know.
Yep. Probably 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Okay.
You know, very important things.
Oh yeah. Very important. Only if you bring some of those cocoa bombs.
I will. They'll probably just melt themselves.
I know, that would be
just
kind of
put them out on the deck.
Yeah, maybe we can put them in a Yeti.
And with alcohol.
Yes.
I bet they're really good too.
That might be a whole new product line.
I know. It's like a working day.
Oh, well, that's a good note to end on. So, Christine, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Great to see you, Dale.
Good to see you too. I want to also thank our sponsor, the Platinum Group, which for 40 years has helped companies with transitions, financial turnarounds, M&A, and crises. If your company could use some help or just a second opinion, you can check out the Platinum Group at theplatinumgrp.com or give them a call at 952-829-5700. I also want to thank all of you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on One Take.